What's up, guys? We're back for another week of breakdown and predictions. This week it's UFC Fight Night, Font versus Aldo, UFC Vegas 44. This is a really good card. It's a pretty good fight night. Most of the fight nights we've been getting recently have been, hot garbage, so it's a good change of pace here, and we got a lot of names. We got really good main event, obviously, with Jose Aldo taking on Rob Font. We got Brad Riddell taking on Rafael Fiziev. Clay Guida's on the card. We got, even in the first fight, Luis Smolka here. He's a veteran of the UFC. So let's get right into it. Just before we start the video, just want to make sure you guys hit that like button if you can. Put a comment down below. Tell me who you're betting on, what you're thinking is going to go down on the main event, and some of the big fights on this card. There's quite a few underdogs that I feel could get the win, so I think that it's a fun card to get a lot of people's opinions and see where people's heads are at on some close fights. So this is a good matchup in the first fight. Luis Smolka taking on Vince Morales. Luis Smolka, this is going to be his first fight of 2021, so hasn't fought in a while, but he's obviously been around the UFC for a long time. He started at flyweight and he had a lot of success. He even broke into the top 10, but never really broke through, and he had some struggles. He got cut from the UFC, came back, and he's been at bantamweight since he's came back, and he's done okay. He's gone 3-2. He's coming off a good win where he got a second round knockout, and he's an aggressive finisher. He comes in shape, he pushes the pace, and he's an anomaly for a smaller fighter in terms of the amount of finishes he has. He's 15 finishes out of 17 wins, 8 KOs, 7 subs, so he has a good mixture of both. And he has been submitted 3 times. Even though he is a grappler, his wrestling is bad. Fighters with good wrestling and jiu-jitsu can dominate him. He usually is, able to create these scramble fest fights, say stay on bottom, end up on top, and just kind of flip position a lot. But tends to be submitted more when he gets hurt and shoots in, like against Matt Schnell, against Casey Kenny. He does have long periods of times where he can be on his back, and that obviously doesn't help him in decisions. He's 2-4 in decisions. He comes out to bang. He brings the pressure. He gets in guys' faces. He's made it a point recently to attack the body. He's very durable. He could push the pace. So he just tries to come forward, give it, take it. He's very hittable. And, obviously he doesn't really rely much on defense. He kind of just relies on breaking you with volume and the ability to take your biggest shots. And if he can get it to the ground, he can get a submission, he can get a TKO on the feet. His last 7 wins are finishes, so obviously that's what he's going to be looking to do, finish this fight. Vince Morales, he had a nice upset win in his last fight against Draco Rodriguez. He's been up and down in the UFC. He's only been 2-3 so far, but he's faced Yadong Song, he's fought Chris Gutierrez. Those are 2 really good guys. He had a close decision with Benito Lopez that a lot of people felt he could have won, so that could have flipped himself to a positive record. And he's a boxer. He does a good job jabbing his way into range. He'll attack the body. He'll come up to the head. He has the hand speed advantage and superior boxing and punching technique in comparison to Smolka. And I expect Morales to try to establish himself as the bully in this fight. He can't really let Smolka walk him down, because that's when Smolka can get his game off. Morales has to be the one pressuring, standing his ground when Smolka tries to come forward. Look for the counters with his 1-2s, with his 3-2s. Morales has great cardio, so he has to let it all out there, not worry about gassing. He's going to be better in the pocket. He's going to be better at range. His boxing is just significantly better, in my opinion. The volume of Luis is what is going to potentially give some, concern to the side of Vince Morales. I think that Morales on the feet sometimes can just be not as aggressive or throw as much as he should. He can let guys back him up, and Smolka, if he just starts throwing combos, getting ahead on the numbers, the fight could go downhill for Morales. But Smolka, doesn't check leg kicks. He doesn't really throw a lot of kicks either. Neither of these guys really use kicks. They both have had a lot of issues with kicks throughout their career, actually, so it's going to be a welcome sight to see a guy that's not going to be kicking at their legs or trying to keep them at bay with their legs. And I think Vince Morales is not a great grappler, but does have a high school wrestling background, and I think he has good enough wrestling to deny and even take down Smolka. But I don't want to see him taking down Smolka. I think that he just needs to use anti-wrestling, keep it on the feet. If he gets taken down, I will be a bit worried that he could get submitted or get finished with ground and pound. But I'm going to go with Vince Morales because I think that he's a spear striker. He has good cardio. He can counterpunch fairly effectively. I think he'll be able to handle the pressure of Smolka, keep it standing, win the boxing with his hand speed. It is a 50-50 fight, though, to me. So the line, being, plus 125 on Morales, minus 140 on Smolka, minus 145. I feel like kind of a pass because I think both guys could get the win. And ultimately, I am going to go with Vince Morales via decision. Next year, we got another really good fight for a prelim fight. We got Alex Morono taking on Mickey Gall, two guys that have been around the UFC once again for a very long time. Alex Morono is going to be his 16th UFC fight, and he's been an overachiever in the UFC. He's gone 9-4, which is a very stellar record. I mean, recently he was able to fight some big names. He went 3 hard rounds with Anthony Pettis. He took out Donald Cerrone. And this is going to be the third fight for Morono in 7 months. He beat David Zawada in his last fight by decision. And he's a striker, more of a, karate, taekwondo-based striker. So he has a lot of really good movement, counter-punching, and good footwork. I mean, he walks guys into the overhands. He has decent kicks. His distance control is pretty good, so it's hard to kind of get inside and maul him. He does have a tendency to get hit early in fights, and Chaos Williams was able to take advantage of that and knock him out. And sometimes Morono can get a little bit brawl happy, throw big overhands, get a little bit wild, and that's where he becomes more vulnerable. But when he keeps it technical, he's using his footwork, the overhands, the occasional kicks, he's tough to beat because he's hard to find. He is able to land sharp counters, and he's pretty skillful on the feet. And he's not a bad grappler. He's a black belt. And when he can get to top position, he's dangerous. But he doesn't really look to wrestle. He did not earn a UFC takedown until his 11th fight in the promotion where he fought Rhys McKee. And in that fight, he did get 3 takedowns, and he was able to get a takedown against Anthony Pettis. So those are the only 4 takedowns in Morono's career. Morono is aggressive when he gets on top, like you said, good ground and pound. He likes to mount, rain down punches, landed some big shots against Rhys McKee. And against Anthony Pettis, he was able to control the back, win the first round due to having that position. His defensive wrestling has improved, but it's not really the best. He has only defended 52% of the takedowns against him in the UFC. And he does have a good guillotine. He was able to catch Josh Berkman with the guillotine, use the guillotine to sweep Zach Otto and finish him from the mount with elbows. And he's been taken down, though, in several fights. When he gets taken down, he does have a tendency to just lay on his back. He doesn't really have a good get-up game. Jordan Mean was able to hold down Morono for almost 10 minutes in their fight. Kita Nakamura used 2 takedowns to help him beat Morono. And even Max Griffin was able to hit 4 takedowns and win the 3rd round by controlling Morono. But Morono's a guy that has great cardio. He is improving everywhere. He has good fight IQ as well. He's a coach for Fortis MMA. I feel like he's very dedicated to the sport, which does help him in terms of just his mentality, his want to win, and just how much he's willing to do to get the victory. But Mickey Gall, 29 years old, and obviously he probably had the strangest entrance in the UFC in maybe UFC history. He was 1-0, fought Mike Jackson, who is a reporter, as an appetizer for CM Punk. And those 2 UFC fights are very strange. You almost never see a fighter get to the UFC off a novelty fight or non-UFC caliber fighters in the promotion, but it was a special circumstance. And most of the time, a guy like that, you would imagine wouldn't be able to handle the UFC level fighters at only 3-0, only facing super low level opponents. But Mickey Gall's been able to do just that. He's been able to get 4 UFC wins. His 4 wins came against fighters who, did get cut for the UFC, but he was able to defeat Jordan Williams, who's now 0-3, probably is going to get cut. I guess he's the only one that has not officially been cut by the promotion, but he defeated Salim Touari, who went 0-3 in the UFC, was cut. He defeated George Sullivan, who is 3-4, no longer in the UFC. All 3 of George Sullivan's wins were in 2015 or before, and Mickey Gall did fight him in 2018, so he was well past his prime at that point, Sullivan. And then he beat Sage Northcutt as well, who I believe is a better win. At least Northcutt was 3-1 in the UFC at the time. And he went on to win 3 UFC fights in a row post a loss to Gall. But he's obviously not in the promotion anymore. He's probably not a UFC level fighter. And Mickey Gall's now getting another opportunity to prove he can beat a solid mid-tier guy. So far throughout his career, he's not been able to get over that hump. He's lost to guys like Mike Perry, Randy Brown, Diego Sanchez. Alex Morono is kind of in that same boat. So if he can beat them, he can show that he's progressed and gotten to a little bit better level than he has been previously. And he has improved his striking throughout the years. He has good hands. He has a good jab, big power in the right hand. And he has a good one too. The straight right was very effective for him against Jordan Williams. Landed a really nice short uppercut that dropped Williams, so it showed short range power in that fight. Good kicks as well. His body kicks are nice. He'll go up with some high kicks. I don't think his kicks are too dangerous, though, or very fluid. So I don't really feel like he's going to have a lot of success kicking at Alex Morono. But Mickey Gall defensively is long. He likes to pressure. He could switch stances. That does help him a little bit, but he's hittable, and to me his chin is not the best. He comes out really hot in the first round and does tend to slow down. His durability wanes with his cardio. He has 5 wins in round 1. In fights that have gone past the first round, he's only 2-3. In decisions, he's only 1-2, so has not done well in fights that have gone past round 1. And he was touted as a grappler before coming to the UFC, but his wrestling just has not proven to be UFC level, and he tends to get tired when he tries to wrestle. Fighters get stuffed, get back to their feet, or get on top of him and beat him up from the top position. And Gall, in 2 of his submission wins, he got the submissions after dropping his opponent. He was able to take down CM Punk, Sage Northcutt, and George Sullivan, but those guys aren't really high-level guys. In his fight with Randy Brown, his wrestling got stuffed. Brown was able to control on top and get the decision win. Diego Sanchez did a similar thing and actually finished Mickey Gall on the ground in round 2. Salim Chouhari was even able to deny a takedown and ride out the top position in their fight. Mickey Gall was able to dominate, or Mike Perry was able to dominate Mickey Gall with the wrestling. So Mickey Gall, when he gets taken down, is just too complacent on bottom. He lets fighters ride him out. He loses. He gets tired. And he only has 28% takedown accuracy and 36% takedown defense. So really putrid numbers in that point. And against Alex Morono, I don't think Alex Morono is going to be quite as easy to hit as a guy like Jordan Williams. I think Morono is going to be a little bit smarter early on. He's going to know that Mickey Gall is going to come out really hot. Probably, try to move around a little bit. Avoid getting in a gunfight early. Wait till Mickey Gall gets a little bit tired and then try to take advantage of it. I would try to mix in the grappling as well, because we have seen Mickey Gall get tired. Even if Morono isn't successful with the wrestling, I think that he could kind of tax on the gas tank of Mickey Gall. But ultimately, when you look at the money line, I do think that Mickey Gall has the value, because at plus 180, being the bigger guy, having the reach, having the height advantage, he's probably the more powerful one-shot striker. Alex Morono has shown really good durability throughout his career. Chaos Williams and Nico Price are the only guys that have been able to take him out in the UFC. Obviously, we know about the power that those two guys have, but Mickey Gall has that power as well, or has close to it. I don't think he's nearly or as close to as much power as those guys, but if he lands clean, he could sting Morono as well. I think Morono's getting in there, getting to the point of his career where he's looking good now. He's getting wins over some really good guys. He just went out there and beat another guy named David Zavada, who's a tough come-forward striker with decent grappling skills. And I think that Morono is going to just be a little bit too much of a veteran for Mickey Gall. I think that he's going to be a little bit too good on the feet, and I think Mickey Gall is going to get a little bit tired, and that's where Morono is going to start to take over the fight. So I'm going to go with Alex Morono in this one. But like I said, on the money line, I think that the value is on Mickey Gall, because I don't really like Morono as a favorite. A lot of his fights, he comes in as the underdog. When you see him at a minus 220 price tag, I just think that's way too much. I think Gall could go in there and get the win, but for me, I am going to pick Alex Morono via decision. This next fight here is another pretty intriguing matchup, as we got two guys. One guy's a veteran and Chris Gruetzemacher. Claudio Puelles, he's been in the UFC for a while, but only 25 years old. Kind of more of a mystery around him. He hasn't fought very frequently. But Chris Gruetzemacher, he reestablished himself as a solid gatekeeper at 155. He got a really good upset win over Rafa Garcia. He was a big underdog in that fight. And Gruetzemacher, he's been a guy who's hung around the UFC for a while now. He's had some good fights. Injuries have slowed him down, but he joined the UFC through the Ultimate Fighter in 2015. He's gone 3-3 in 6 fights since then. So he's only had 6 fights in 6 years, but had 2 solid wins. He beat Rafa Garcia, he beat Joe Lozon. And when he usually loses, he gets knocked out or out grappled. So in this fight, he is facing a grappler, so that's a little bit of a cause for concern if you're on the grit side. But Chris Gruetzemacher is a pressure fighter. His objective in the cage is to break his opponent. He's in perpetual forward motion. He looks to keep the volume high. He attacks the body, makes it ugly. He likes to get on the inside, hand fight, dirty box. And he just wears on fighters as the fight goes long. He has a really nice jab. He has good 1-2s and really good 1-1-2s. He uses that jab. He keeps it in the fighters' faces really effectively. And, he just gives guys a lot to think about. He definitely can overwhelm fighters with his volume. He can take a shot as well. His ability to take a punch is pretty good. And, he has been finished before in the past. Obviously, like I said, if you can knock him out like a really heavy puncher, then, Grit struggles a little bit because he does dip into shots. He takes a lot of punches clean, but if you don't have that one-shot knockout power or really big power, you're not really going to hurt Grits too bad. He just has that ability to take the shots and he has good hand speed. He's a pretty fluid puncher. He throws combos. He, will mix in some decent kicks. He'll attack uppercuts, body shots, like I said. His leg kicks are pretty nasty. He'll work front round kicks to the body, good knees to the body. And if you make, if you let him make it a dirty fight, battle you on the inside, he's tough to beat, man. He's only been knocked out twice. He is very durable. He brings the pressure. And, Artem Lobov, who is a good fighter, was able to knock him out. But, Lobov, that was on his run on the Ultimate Fighter. And he was knocking guys out left and right at that time. And Hernandez knocked him out. Alexander Hernandez, who's a really big, explosive powerhouse. Gruetzemacher wasn't able to handle the, early onslaught, got taken out in the first round. But, if you can't do that, if you can't take him out early, you're in for a long night. He's the fastest fighter, so guys with good movement, speed, can move around him and walk him into shots and, just kind of decision him. But Claudio Puelles isn't that type of guy. If it stays on the feet, Gruetzemacher is going to be the one in control of the fight. He is a solid anti-grappler. Early in his career, he did struggle with jiu-jitsu and takedown defense, and he still has some issues with fighters taking him down, but proved a lot with his defensive jiu-jitsu, his get-up game. He's not quite as easy to take down anymore. Rafa Garcia in his last match did hit several takedowns on Gritz, but they almost worked against him because he was gassed out. He wasn't able to hold down Gritz when he took him down. Two of his losses, Gruetzemacher have came via rear naked choke against Chaz Skelly and Davi Habosh. Those guys are two high-level grapplers, though, so there's really not a lot of shame in that. He was submitted one time outside the UFC as well. And cardio-wise, Gruetzemacher is always going to have a gas tank for days. He has elite cardio. So the only thing he has to worry about in this fight, in my opinion, is just staying off his back and denying the wrestling of Puelles. But Puelles, he kept his streak alive in his return match with Jordan Levitt. He was up for almost 2 years, and Levitt was a sizable favorite. It was a big win for Claudio Puelles. Puelles has now won 3 fights in a row. He's teamed up with Sanford MMA, and he's only raising his confidence. He's debuted in the UFC in 2016, but he's 25 years old, so if he can keep improving, he should stick around in the UFC for a long time. And on the feet, Puelles is a southpaw. He's big for the division. Against Gruetzemacher, he is going to have a 3-inch height advantage, 4-inch reach advantage, and he has good straight punches, good left kicks. He likes to pressure with the high guard, use his strikes to back fighters up and time the level change. And he's gotten better with his distance control. He feints a little bit more. He'll try to mix in some leg kicks. His boxing has improved. On the feet, he's just not really dangerous, though, and he's going to be at a big disadvantage, in my opinion, in this matchup. He doesn't like body shots, which is a big issue against Chris Gruetzemacher. We saw Martin Bravo overwhelm Claudio Puelles with body shots. Puelles doesn't check low kicks either, which Gruetzemacher uses that weapon as well. And durability-wise, I don't think Puelles takes a shot too well. He's broken or shown bad resistance against fighters who pressure him. Martin Bravo, like I said, Felipe Silva dropped him multiple times, had him in a lot of trouble in the stand-up. And Puelles hasn't had to deal with much damage against Jordan Levitt or Marcus Mariano on the feet. So even though he's been able to get those victories and, he beat Felipe Silva with the miraculous third round coming from behind heel hook, he hasn't really shown that he could take damage, in my opinion. He only has one finish via head kick. Then he did finish another fight via TKO. And he has been finished by strikes in both of his losses. He is a grappler, and that's how he's going to try to win this fight. He has a good single leg. He has good timing on his double, and he's getting better with the timing on his takedowns. He's gotten a lot of takedowns in his last 2 fights. He has taken a big step up in competition here, so we're going to see if he's going to be able to take down a guy like Chris Gruetzemacher just as easily. And Puelles, when he does get it to the ground, does do a good job controlling guys. He does a good job grapevining the legs. He did that against Marcos Mariana, and he was able to really keep him down and control him for almost the entire fight. He has good ability to control from half guard, and he likes to sit in half guard until he can mount, and then you'll look for arm triangles, arm locks. He'll try to get, take the back. He isn't an elite submission threat, but good enough submissions to keep fighters honest, and he stays busy on top, beats fighters up from the full guard also, and he's more about controlling than finishing. He does have 4 submissions, but 3 of them came against fighters with losing records. Puelles will pull guard, and he'll attack arm bars, triangles, leg locks. He likes that deep half guard sweep, and I think he's good enough against low-level guys. Like, he did catch Felipe Silva with that, heel hook, but against UFC-level opponents, I don't really think pulling guard is going to be something that Puelles wants to do. His last fight, he did, face a good wrestler, a good grappler, And he proved he has excellent balance, takedown defense, his scrambling ability is top-notch, his cardio is top-notch. Jordan Leavitt was able to dominate for the better part of the first round. He hit takedowns, he hung on Puelles in the clinch, but Puelles never let Leavitt really get established in a position, and Jordan let out so much energy trying to control him in that first round. He gassed out, and Puelles was eventually able to start hitting takedowns of his own, controlling Leavitt, and he got the decision victory. So there were a ton of scrambles in that fight. Most of them started when Leavitt hit the takedowns or put out a lot of cardio to control Puelles. In this fight, I feel like Gruetzemacher is not going to engage as much in the grappling as Leavitt, so it's going to be on Puelles to initiate those exchanges and actually be able to hit the takedowns. And I think Gruetzemacher is going to be able to deny that. I think that Puelles may surprise. I mean, he's young, he hasn't fought actively. Maybe he has some skills we haven't seen yet, but I just think Puelles is much more of a kicker than a puncher, and Gruetzemacher is going to be jamming the kicker, hand fighting, looking for hooks, uppercuts, body kicks, or body attacks, leg kicks, and Gruetzemacher has proven against elite grapplers like Davi Ramos, Joe Lozon, he can survive being on the mat and he can get back up to his feet. In this fight, he's going to have to stop Puelles from taking him down and holding him down. His takedown defense isn't elite, and if he took Puelles lightly and didn't go hard with his wrestling or get up training, he could be in trouble. I don't think Puelles is overly dangerous on top. Marcus Mariano had zero grappling. Jordan Leavitt and him had a scramble grappling fest, and Puelles proved to be the superior grappler with better cardio. But Grits is going to be looking to anti-grapple, stuff the takedowns, work back to his feet. If he does get taken down, try to outbox Puelles, try to break him. His hands are a lot better. He's more durable. And if he can get on the inside and get his game going, I see him finishing Claudio. He's a better version of Martin Bravo, in my opinion. Bigger, better boxer, more power, and just better at almost everything. I think Puelles has gotten a lot better since that fight, but I don't know if it's good enough to take out a gritty veteran like Chris Gruetzemacher. Most of the time in his fights, Gruetzemacher is a big underdog. In this fight, he's only, like a slight favorite. So, he's a good fighter to bet on when he's an underdog because, he's just a fucking dog. He could beat fighters who are better than him because he just stays in their face. They hit him with their best shots. He doesn't budge, and then he starts to get off with his underrated boxing, the body attack, and it just snowballs downhill. He won his last fight as a plus 275 underdog. He was doing really well against Davi Ramos when he was a plus 325 underdog until he got finished in that fight. Won as an underdog against Joe Lozon. And, I just feel like with this fight, if Claudio can't just take him down and control him at will, and it starts to get ugly, it starts to become a hard fight, I think Gruetzemacher is going to take him out. So I'm going to go with Gruetzemacher via late second or third round KO TKO. I think Puelles might start well early, might get a takedown or two, might rack up some control time, but I think once, Gruetzemacher gets back up to his feet, starts putting that action on Puelles, landing some shots, I think we're going to start to see the tide change. Puelles start to get, a little bit desperate, wilts a little bit, really start to attack the takedowns, and I think Gruetzemacher is going to start to really land some big shots, hurt him to the body, and probably take him out. So, I'm going to go with Chris Gruetzemacher to pick up a second win in a row here. In this next matchup, we got two powerhouses in Alonzo Menifield and William Knight. Alonzo Menifield and William Knight were actually supposed to fight a little while back when Alonzo fought Fabio Cherant, and William Knight pulled out. Cherant came in. Alonzo got the first round submission on Fabio, and then coincidentally enough, William Knight just fought Fabio in his last fight and knocked him out in the first round. So they're both coming off wins over the same opponent. Never mind. Alonzo was able to come back and get that victory over Ed Herman as well. So he just recently fought, and William Knight fought pretty recently as well. But Menifield, that was a good fight for him because he showed trouble with cardio in the past, and he was able to go all 3 rounds and get the win against a solid veteran. His striking showed improvements. He does have decent footwork. His jab is good, and he has a pretty, decent reach advantage with 3 inches in this fight. He does a good job following with the straight or overhand right after the jab. He has a good high guard, and he'll come forward. He'll look for fighters to open up to counter with the straight overhand right. He has good low kicks. On the inside, he's willing to brawl, and he's powerful, big uppercut. And when he can work off the counter, that's when he's better, in my opinion. When fighters make Menifield go first, he's a bit plotty and deliberate. We saw OSP, who's a very counter striker, was able to kind of walk him into shots and knock him out. He stands tall. Fighters could catch him as he comes in. And that's what William Knight's going to be looking to do. He's going to be looking to move around and, catch him with one of those big punches. Menifield in his last fight did look a bit sharper. He was facing a slow, older fighter in Ed Herman, though, but he landed 94 out of 141 strikes in that fight, which is a lot of output. And, showed a great chin so far in his career. He did get knocked against OSP, but hasn't taken a lot of damage. And, he does have one-shot knockout power. He has 8 knockouts and 11 wins. He's a good grappler as well, underrated. He is not super active with his wrestling, but he's shown a really good blast double leg. He's super explosive. He's strong in the clinch. And when he gets on top, he has great top pressure, ground and pound. He's gotten a couple submission victories. He got that Von Flue choke against Charant. And I do think that he's going to be looking to take down William Knight in this fight. He just has to make sure that when he does go to take him down, he better end up on top, and he better not tax his gas tank, because William Knight does have good ability to scramble, and he does have a pretty good gas tank usually. And Alonzo Menifield's takedown defense is very good. He's very hard to take down. We've seen him deny takedowns against guys like Devin Clark. He's defended 14 of the 15 takedowns against him in the UFC, and he's fought some good grapplers. He fought Paul Craig, he fought Devin Clark, he fought Ed Herman. So those guys haven't been able to take him down and control him. William Knight, he might be the strongest fighter in the entire UFC, though. I mean, some of his weightlifting records are absolutely insane. When you look at the guy, he's a freaking unit. I mean, he's extremely ripped. He's a great athlete. He's gone 2-1 in 3 UFC fights, and his last win was his best win. He knocked out Fabio Charant and proved how dangerous he is. He knocked out Charant with a cuffing shot. Didn't even really look to land clean at all. William Knight was able to take out Alexa Kimura as well, so both of his UFC wins are kind of low level. His one loss in the UFC came against Dong Jung, who's proven to be a good fighter. He's near in the top 15. So it's a bit of a mystery where Knight kind of stacks up in the division. Menifield's a good bar to see where Knight truly is at, and beating Menifield will show he might still be viable as a future ranked fighter. A loss will kind of put him in that top 25 to top 50 because he is 33 years old, so all wins are important for him. He is a powerhouse, and on the feet he likes to hold his hands low, move around, throw leg kicks, dart in with the big overhand or the left hook. And, he has that level change that he does, so it does disguise it a little bit. And he likes to level change in the clinch that control fighters, take him down from there. And, he has big power when he lands, and he can close the distance really quickly. On the inside, he'll exchange hooks. He'll mix in some dangerous attacks like body kicks, jump kicks, flying knees. Offensively, he's a beast. Fighters know he's trying to bring it to the mat, so it helps open up his hands, and he closes distance really quickly. He has big power, but he does float his chin. He pulls back with his chin high. He's very open to being hit, and isn't super comfortable in the pocket. He does prefer to grab in that situation. He does have 9 knockouts, but most of those came via ground and pound. He is pretty durable. He only got finished once against Stefan Nchukwi, but I did feel like that was a bit of an early stoppage. And William Knight is a decent grappler. He has a high school wrestling background. He is really awkward in the way that he grapples. He's really good at scrambles. He, has some strange takedowns in the clinch. He has good control. Alonzo Menifield does have a tendency to exit the clinch a bit lazily, and I would look to land heavy uppercuts or hooks on the clinch breaks if I was William Knight. When Knight gets the takedowns, he's super strong. He's heavy on top. He has brutal ground and pound. If he can't finish his opponents when he takes them down, he at least damages and tires them out. And William Knight does an excellent job moving into the mount. He'll lay down the pain from there. Big hammer fist elbows. And whenever fighters take him down, he does a good job to give his back and then turn in. He's so good at that. He doesn't get tired usually. He did get tired against Dong Jung because I feel like that was the first fight where he faced a guy that was a lot bigger than him and was able to control him on the ground, and he couldn't use his strength to reverse the position. He usually allows fighters to take his back, flatten him out completely, and he could find his way out of that position, but Dong Jung had good positioning, and he was long, and he wore William Knight out with just better technique, and he's dominated, he got dominated for 3 rounds in the grappling realm. With this fight with Alonzo Menifield, like I said, I think that he's going to be hard-pressed to get the takedowns on Menifield or really even be close. I think that if they do grapple, I think Menifield's going to be the one that ends up on top, and I think Menifield has good enough positioning and strength to control William Knight and not allow him to just muscle his way back up to his feet or into the top position. Menifield just has to be able to, be wary of his gas tank if it does become that type of fight, and just know that if William Knight gets on top, he has to get up because he can't let William Knight get established in a dominant position and start to go to work. And on the feet, I do feel like Knight does have that ability to potentially land that counter shot, but Menifield has the reach and has the superior striking technique, and I think that Menifield is just going to be able to win this fight. I don't know if it's going to be via decision or if it's going to be knockout, a finish on the ground. I just feel like Menifield is a little bit better everywhere. But to me, I mean, this is not a fight I'm confident in on either guy. Both guys have proven to be a little bit flaky, especially Menifield. He had that 2-fight losing streak with Devin Clark and OSP, which weren't really good looks. So I don't think that a win over Ed Herman and a win over Fabio Chiron is enough for me to trust him again as a favorite and bet on him. But I am going to pick him here in this fight, and I do think that he's just a little bit superior to William Knight in all facets. He's a little bit bigger, and I think that's going to help him get the win. So this next fight, we got a female fight with Mallory Martin taking on Cheyanne Vlismas. And, Cheyanne Vlismas, she's fighting for the 3rd time in the UFC. And if you're a bit confused by the name, it was Cheyanne Beige. I don't know if her and JP got divorced, or I'm assuming, I don't know what happened. But, apparently on top of having a recent fight canceled due to COVID, that's going on with her as well. So mentally, there are a lot of question marks there for Cheyanne Vlismas, and she's fighting a much different style of fighter than she trained for 2 weeks ago. She was supposed to fight Loma Lukbudmi, who is pure Muay Thai striker. Now she's facing a wrestler in Mallory Martin, and Vlismas is the faster girl. She's a good mover, and she has a good straight right hand. Good job landing the right cross, circling off. She doesn't really throw many hand combos, and when she's going first, sometimes she'll throw the 3-2, but that's about it. I mean, when she can get a fighter stagnant against a cage, she will go body head with punches. Her left hook is decent. She will kind of sit back and look for the counter sometimes as well, but just her not throwing a lot of combinations, her not being super active, does make it easier for fighters to back her up, get her against the cage, clinch her, take her down. And she does have some decent kicks. I mean, round kicks to the body, to the head. Her last fight, she did get a head kick knockout. But grappling-wise, she's going to have to deal with Mallory Martin in this one. And she's a pretty good grappler. I mean, her fight with Montserrat Ruiz was not a good look. Her grappling has looked better in other fights. If I saw that and was Mallory Martin or Cheyanne Vlismas' opponents, though, I would look to work the head and arm throw and see if it works, because she had zero answer for that technique. And I'm sure after that embarrassing performance, it's going to be harder to do that to Cheyanne again. But who knows? And Vlismas in the clinch is decent with her knees or elbows. In her fight with Hillary Rose, she did spend a lot of time controlling Rose. She was the stronger girl physically in that fight. She's pretty good in scrambles. She'll jump on the back. She does a good job floating between the full mount and the back when she gets those positions. And she's good at using her strikes to set up the body lock. And she got a quick takedown in her last fight. Her grappling is not top-notch, but being young, aggressive, athletic, training at a strong gym, I do think that it's going to continue to improve. Her last fight, she landed a perfectly timed head kick as her opponent was getting up after getting taken down. And I think in this fight, she's going to want to keep the distance, try to stick and move. She doesn't want to be on her back or trying to wrestle over someone like Mallory Martin. She has a few armbar finishes on her record as an amateur. So Martin has to be a little bit careful, but she has none as a pro, and it's not as if Vlismas is a world champion jiu-jitsu girl. So the girls that have given trouble to Mallory Martin on the ground, like Vitor Jandiroba, Polyana Viana, are much higher level than her. Cardio-wise, Vlismas does push the pace. She has good cardio. For Mallory Martin, she is a girl that was actually supposed to be fighting Montserrat Ruiz here, but Ruiz was forced to withdraw, and now she's booked with Cheyanne. So Cheyanne is a different matchup as well than Montserrat Ruiz. And both these girls are known for trash talk, so that's going to be interesting to see in the cage. Mallory Martin has not done super well so far. She's only 1-2 in the UFC, gotten finished twice. Her one win is a rear naked choke, and all 3 of her UFC fights have ended via submission. She's a boxer wrestler with much better grappling than striking. On the feet, she's not very good. She's a plotter. Her footwork is pretty bad. She just inches into range and stands very tall with her chin high. Her hands are low, and she likes to pull counter and set up her takedowns like that, but she's super hittable, and she, will look for the left hook or the leading counter hook, a decent straight right hand. She'll try to land that counter right hand, but just very hittable. Plotter, comes forward, and Cheyanne is going to have an advantage on the feet. Martin is a wrestler, though. She wants to, close the distance, pressure, go to opponents into sitting in the pocket and trading with her, and then level changing in the fight to the ground. She has good level changes, and when she gets on top, she flows well. She has good top pressure. Her double leg is her go-to takedown, and if she can't finish, she will use that to control against the cage. She's gotten 4 finishes in her career. All of them came via ground and pound or rear naked choke. In terms of her jiu-jitsu, I think she isn't a huge threat, but her wrestling and jiu-jitsu blend give her the ability to control, advance position, do damage. And she was dominated against girls like Virna Jandiroba on the map, but obviously not many fighters are going to have the jiu-jitsu level of Jandiroba. Martin's last fight was disappointing. I mean, she got the takedown, but then got armbarred by Polyana Viana, and that was one of the few things that she had to watch out for in that fight. So for her to fall victim to that does show kind of bad fight IQ or preparation. But she's a tough chick. She has good cardio, and this is a must-win for her. If she loses this fight, I'm not sure she's going to stick around in the UFC, so definitely feel like she's going to be taking this one extremely confident. I'm going to go with the better grappler in Mallory Martin. I think that Vlismas is a good fighter. She's solid off the back foot, but she gets backed up, and she likes to stick in there, try to stand her ground, throw hard to get fighters to back off, and that can lead to her getting in the clinch or getting taken down. And against a lot of lower-level girls she's faced, she's been physical and aggressive enough to be superior in the grappling, but I don't see that being the case here against Mallory Martin. I think Mallory Martin has not really shown chin issues. She did get dropped by Hannah Cifers, but Cifers is a heavy hitter. That is a bit of cause for concern, though, just the defense of Martin. And if you're on the side of Martin, if Vlismas can land clean with the overhand or cross like Cifers or head kick, she could maybe hurt Martin. She could get the finish, but 115 pounds for women, it isn't super likely that they're going to get a knockout. I think that Cheyanne not having fought in a while, getting pushed back a couple weeks from when she was originally supposed to fight, having all these issues outside of her personal life, and I think she's going to be aggressive, and I think it could be to her detriment. I think it's going to get her taken down, controlled, and dominated. I think she might check out of the fight mentally. I don't know. A lot of these things are assumptions, but I think Martin's going to go in there cool, calm, collected, get the job done via decision here. In this next one, we got two flyweights with Zhalgas Zhumagulov taking on Manel Kape. Zhalgas Zhumagulov and Manel Kape both were champions in other organizations and had big hype when they came to the UFC, but both started 0-2. Both were able to rebound in their last fight, get the first round finish, so we're going to see who is the potential future contender and who isn't when they match up here. Zhumagulov, he's the experienced guy. He is an experienced guy. He has the point fighting style. Pretty good footwork, head movement. He does a good job staying safe. He bounces on the outside, darts in with body shots with that big left hook or overhand right. Striking is a little bit clunky and awkward, but he's pretty effective with it. He'll throw leg kicks, round kicks, and on the inside he will sit down and wing big punches. He could struggle against fighters with good jabs and straight shots down the middle. Fighters who are faster than him can kind of avoid the exchanges, the big hooks, the overhands, and pick them apart. Amir Albazi and Paiva were able to have success with their speed and their long-range attacks on the feet. And Zhumagulov has a strange style. It's hard to figure out. He has some power. He has 7 knockouts in his career, and he's only been finished by strikes 1 time. He is a good grappler. I mean, he has good defensive wrestling, good scrambling ability. His fight with Albazi, he did give his back. He was controlled a little bit in the 3rd round, but against Manel Kape, I don't think he's going to have to deal with much wrestling. Offensively, he has some tricky takedowns he'll use in the clinch and at range. In the UFC, a lot of his fights, he hasn't really been effective with his top pressure or holding fighters down. And I wouldn't be surprised if he went for takedowns in this fight to break the rhythm of Kape, but I don't think he's going to really be able to control or dominate with his grappling. His last fight did get a standing guillotine after hurting his opponent, but that was the first submission win of his career. Zhumagulov does pace himself well, and he could easily sustain the same pace over 3 rounds. He's been in some 5-round fights, and he's a good fighter. But Manel Kape, I mean, just hasn't really quite gotten it right in the UFC. He won his first UFC fight last time out, but even then he couldn't make the weight, so it wasn't the cleanest performance. And he does have a solid finish in that when he got the flying knee against Ode Osborne. And he has a lot of potential. I mean, he just has to put his best foot forward in the cage and go to work. He's blistering fast. He's a fantastic athlete. He's southpaw. Likes to pressure attack the body, come up top with straight shots. And I think that's going to be very, very open for him in this fight. He holds his hands low and tries to goad fighters in so he can counter. And he's very calm, composed in the pocket, straight shots, hooks, very fast. He blitzes forward with really explosive attacks. His kicking game is alright, even though he isn't a super active kicker. Great durability, he can walk through shots, keep coming forward. The only issue is he just hasn't pulled the trigger enough in certain fights, and he is hittable. And, if you can land more than him, then you're going to get the win. But he is a knockout artist, he has big power. And his grappling is good as well. I don't really think Zhalgas is going to be able to take him down. He has good takedown defense. He's big for the division. And he's going to have a height and reach advantage in this fight. And I think the straight shots and the speed is just going to be the difference. I think Kape's going to keep catching him with the jab, with the straight punches as he comes in. Zhumagulov's going to be trying to look for the big hooks. And I think he's just going to come up short. And Kape's going to be touching him the whole time. So I think Manel Kape is going to be able to get the decision victory in this one. This fight should be a banger right here, too, with Jake Matthews taking on Jeremiah Wells. This is a welterweight fight. Jake Matthews, he had his 3-fight win streak snapped in his last fight, but he's looking to regain momentum with the win over Jeremiah Wells. And when you go back and look at Matthews' wins, they're really not too awe-inspiring. Only one of the 10 fighters that Jake Matthews has defeated is still currently in the UFC. Matthews usually only loses top 15 ranked fighters. He did have that one loss to Andrew Holbrook, but he's one of those guys that can beat a lot of people outside the rankings, but just hasn't been able to take that next step in his career. Jeremiah Wells, he put the entire welterweight division on notice when he defeated Warlley Alves in his UFC debut, knocked out Alves brutally with the right hook, and that was Jeremiah Wells' first fight since 2019. He had several UFC bouts fall by the wayside before having his debut. And Jeremiah Wells, he's another one of these fighters out of Renzo Gracie Philly with Daniel Gracie. He's a former CFFC champion and definitely has a lot of confidence he could shake this division up. Overall, he's 9-2-1. His last loss was a 5-round title fight decision of Vinicius de Jesus, who's a Bellator fighter. One thing about Jeremiah Wells that is going to be advantageous for him in this fight is the last opponent of Jake Matthews was Sean Brady, who's the main training partner for Jeremiah Wells. Sean Brady just recently fought 2 weeks ago, so that them being the same weight, them being similar fighters, they were putting it in together and doing a lot of work, and that's only going to help him, I feel like. But the coaching, obviously they've seen that style of Jake Matthews. They defeated it. Brady was able to beat it, and I think that Jeremiah Wells has that ability as well. But Jake Matthews, he's very explosive. He's athletic. He likes to blitz it with the 1-2 or the big overhand right. Good uppercut. Closes the gap really quickly, and he loads up and throws with power. He has a good blast double. He's a black belt. And that also makes fighters drop their hands because they're ready for the level change, and then you can come over the top with the big punches and vice versa in terms of lifting the hands and then getting the takedown. And he has great cardio. He can push the pace. He has good rear naked chokes, and he's good when he can get on top. His last fight, he fought an elite wrestler who he just saw out-grapple Michael Chiesa, and he just couldn't really handle the wrestling there. He got some in the third round. Sean Brady is Jeremiah Wells' opponent or teammate, so like I said, I'm sure he's picking Brady's brain. And Matthews struggles in fights where he's the inferior grappler. Fighters can get a beat on his explosive striking style, catch him as he enters, force him to fight on the outside. He struggles against low kicks, and he has a lot of experience at only 27, but he hasn't really shown a lot of improvement or differences in his game throughout the years. He's still an explosive athlete with big power, and overhand, and a double leg. But if he gets pushed, he has a tendency to shut down, just like in his last match with Sean Brady. In his fight with Anthony Rocco Martin, he struggled with the leg kicks, the distance control, shot a bad takedown, got front choked. The same thing happened to him in his fight with James Vick. Kevin Lee was able to take down Jake Matthews and smash him from the top position, finish him with ground and pound. Even Andrew Holbrook back in the day was able to out-grapple Jake Matthews. All of Jake Matthews' UFC losses came either against superior grapplers or fighters who could strike and hit front chokes like James Vick. And Jeremiah Wells, he's similar to Jake Matthews in the fact he's a great athlete. He likes to bounce around on the outside, exploding with big strikes. He's much more kicking oriented. He stands in a wide stance. He'll explode in with his 1-2s, 3-2s. He has a long reach for his height. He's going to have a 3.5-inch reach advantage, even though he's 2 inches shorter than his opponent in this fight. And he has wicked power when he lands clean. He can put fighters to sleep with one punch. He seemed more composed and aggressive on the feet against Warlley Alves. He'll switch stances. He throws a lot of oblique kicks. He'll mix in some spinning kicks to the body, to the head. He's really good at using his blitzes to close the gap, jam fighters against the cage. And when he can't get the takedowns or control fighters in the clinch, he can be a little bit low volume. His striking is a little bit predictable and he can be countered. But he's more of a grappler. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He has really good wrestling. His wrestling isn't elite, but he's physically strong. He has good clinch control. And good job circling the back, getting big slams. He'll get the double leg, good body locks. And when he gets on top, he's heavy. He can control position. Sometimes he'll explode in with punches and just barrel his opponents over, which is sheer power, get on top. He did that to Warlley Alves. He wasn't really able to control Alves too much on the ground, but did show that he was composed. He escaped that vaunted guillotine of Warlley, and he was able to get back up to his feet quickly when Warlley got in top position. I think if anyone's going to control the grappling in this fight, it's going to be Jeremiah Wells, and because of that, I'm going to pick Wells and actually put a bet on Wells. This is going to be my bet of the week here for this card, Jeremiah Wells. I think that Wells is physically stronger. He's going to be the better grappler, And what edges me him in this fight is he's just more ferocious. I think he's going to drag Matthews into deep waters where Matthews does not really like to be. I think he can win by decision, or I think he can even take Wells out, or Matthews out, excuse me. Matthews has a big experience edge, and I get why he's the favorite, but seeing how Sean Brady just ragdolled Chiesa, I'm going to go with his teammate, main training partner here from Renzo Gracie Philly. I'm going to go with Daniel Gracie and his team there. They've been on a roll. They're undefeated. Currently, all the fighters from that gym are undefeated in the UFC. I see Wells continuing that trend, getting the win as the underdog, and that is going to be my free pick of the week here. I'm not going to do a parlay of the week. This card has a lot of really close fights, so it is going to be Jeremiah Wells on this card. I will say that again at the end of the card, but the pick for me is going to be Jeremiah Wells via decision or via submission. This next fight, in my opinion, is one of the more lower-level fights of the card, with Maki Pitolo taking on Dusko Todorovic. Maki, he's a Hawaiian. He's really tough. He comes forward and has decent boxing. Doesn't really work, but he kicks. And his striking is not really the greatest because he doesn't really... He starts really hot and, he comes forward. He has good combinations. He'll rip the body. He'll come back up to the head. Pretty good footwork. He seems early on like he's a good striker, but his cardio is putrid, man. He gets real tired, starts to get real sloppy. Guys start to walk him down. He just tries to use the high guard and block the shots and wait for his opportunity to counter, but shots get through. He gets behind on the numbers. He starts to eat some big punches, and, he could get finished as well. And when you watch certain fights, he has a tendency to kind of shoot in, panic wrestle when he gets hurt. That's how Darren Stewart caught that front choke on him. Dusko Todorovic, I feel like his last fight, he showed improvements in his defense, and his footwork and movement is good. I feel like on the feet, though, he is going to be a little bit better, even though I don't really feel like he wants to be there. I think he's going to be trying to clinch up Maki against the cage, get him tired, hold him against the cage, maybe get the takedown, get on top, and win via finish on the ground. Maki, if he gets taken down, I think he's going to be in big trouble. His defensive wrestling and offensive wrestling are probably better than Dusko's, but Dusko is the bigger guy by a pretty significant margin, and he has the better cardio, and I think that, if Maki is able to outgrapple him early, he's not going to be able to outgrapple him late. I think Dusko's going to start to take over. So I'm going to go with Dusko Todorovic. Both these guys need a win. They're on losing streaks. They're, younger guys, but I just think Dusko's a little bit better. I'm not really confident on this fight at all, though. I'm picking Dusko, but this is one of these fights I don't really have a lot of interest in. And kicking off the main card, we got a fight that I think is going to be a scrap. I think a lot of people are kind of underestimating, how good this fight is going to be with Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis. Brendan Allen, he's looked better than ever recently. He went out there with Puna Soriano, all with stand-up and beat him up. And in most fights, Brendan Allen has had to rely on his grappling to get the job done. But it looked like the work with Sanford MMA with Henry Hoof is paying off. He looked sharp, and he was able to outstrike the power hitter in Soriano over 3 rounds. He has 2 wins in a row because he was able to get a heel hook victory previously against Carl Roberson as well. Done good in the UFC. He's won 5-1, beating guys like Puna Soriano, Carl Roberson, Kyle Dawkins, Kevin Holland. And he stepped in to face Roman Dolidze here on short notice, but Roman Dolidze pulled out, and now he's matched up with Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis is coming in here on short notice as well, having just gotten that big knockout against Phil Haas. And all the hard work for Chris Curtis paid off, man. 34 fights in the regional scene. Finally got to debut in the UFC. He had his back against the wall. He was facing a undefeated fighter in the UFC, a genetic freak. He was also up a weight class from where he normally fights. And even though, he is also fighting at 185 for this fight, so I suppose he's sticking at middleweight, and maybe the UFC wants him to be in this weight class. Chris Curtis at 34 years old needs to get going if he ever wants to make some serious money. He's won 6 fights in a row, and he's in a good rhythm right now. He accepted the short notice fight with Brendan Allen, and if he can pull off another upset, he's likely going to be in the top 15. And this is a bit of a grudge match in a way, because obviously Brendan Allen and Sean Strickland have beef, and after Strickland knocked out Brendan Allen has called him out multiple times for a rematch, and he isn't going to fight Sean Strickland, but he's going to fight Chris Curtis, who's a training partner, a good friend of Sean Strickland. Strickland was in his corner for Curtis's last few fights, and it's going to be funny to see what he has to say to Brendan Allen during the build-up and on fight night this time around if he is in the corner. Another thing, obviously, is just the camp battle. I mean, Sanford MMA and Syndicate MMA took each other on in their last fight. It was Phil Hawes taking on Chris Curtis, who is a teammate of Brendan Allen, and Chris Curtis knocked him out. So they're doing it again here. Obviously, Sean Strickland has already beaten Brendan Allen as well. I think that was before Brendan Allen went in and started to work with Sanford. But the line is off to me in this fight, in my opinion. I mean, Brendan Allen did look great in his last fight. His offensive striking looked much crisper. He was throwing some really nice combos. He was ending with kicks, kept his punches straighter and faster. He was able to put out a lot of output. But this is a completely different matchup. Puna Soriano is a compact wrestler, doesn't really throw in combinations. He doesn't use the jab, doesn't throw straight punches. He throws big hooks. He wants to get on the inside and try to knock you out. And Allen was able to use his reach advantage. He picked Soriano apart with Chris striking. He was the faster guy. He still did not prove to me that he made the improvements in the defensive realm, though. Chris Curtis is going to be much trickier. He's going to be looking to use fakes, feints, go up, down, work the jab, throw combinations, throw straight shots. And straight shots and combinations have been money against Brendan Allen because he comes forward, he doesn't really move his head, he doesn't throw feints. And if this fight's happening in the stand-up, I think it's around a 50-50 fight. Brendan Allen has to close the gap and work in the clinch here. Chris Curtis is hard to take down and hold down, but he's shown he can be held against a cage. And Brendan Allen may try to maul him and go to work with the knees, the dirty boxing. He's good at that. And Brendan Allen is going to have the more one-shot power, but Chris Curtis is super durable. Chris Curtis attacks the body. If Allen can have sustained periods of clinch control or even hit a trip takedown and work from top position, that's going to go a long way for him winning this fight. But he isn't an overwhelming wrestler, and if Curtis comes in sharp, he uses footwork, he snipes, he lands some big shots and starts to pressure, and he has good cardio, he has good power, he has good boxing, durability, experience. He's definitely an underrated guy, man. I mean, this line is pretty crazy to me because it's not as if Brendan Allen is some credentialed wrestler. He's actually struggled, to take certain guys down in the UFC like Kyle Dawkins and stuff like that. And I'm not one of these guys that's a big Brendan Allen guy, man. I've tried to fade him multiple times, and I've been successful in certain fights, and obviously unsuccessful in certain fights. Like I picked Puna, I picked Kyle Dawkins, and man, I kind of want to pick Chris Curtis in this fight. He's a huge underdog, and I think that just off the value, Chris Curtis has a lot of value, but I'm going to go with Brendan Allen because I think that even though Phil Hawes is a better fighter than Brendan Allen, I do believe that technically. I think that he's a little bit crisper on the feet with the striking. His striking came a long way as well. He's trained with the same striking coach. They throw kind of the same techniques. And Phil Hawes is the better wrestler, grappler. He's more athletic. He's probably stronger, more physical. He probably has the more power. But what Brendan Allen has that Phil Hawes doesn't is Brendan Allen is a tough guy. He's super tough. He wants it. He's not going to go down without a fight. And he also has the cardio that Phil Hawes doesn't really have, and he has more durability in my opinion. So I think he's just going to be able to maybe edge it out in a close fight with being a little bit bigger using his grappling. But I think Chris Curtis is really live in this fight. I definitely think Chris Curtis could win. But I'm going to go with Brendan Allen via decision. And up next here, we got a light heavyweight fight. We got a good matchup here with Jimmy Crute and Jamahal Hill. They're two of the bigger prospects in the UFC light heavyweight division. They got contrasting styles as well. Jimmy Crute more of a grappler, even though he's a well-rounded fighter. Jamahal Hill's a striker. Both guys are coming off losses in their last fight. Jimmy Crute had a big-time fight against Anthony Smith. It was on pay-per-view. Unfortunately for him, he took some calf kicks and his leg went out on him. He wasn't able to continue after the first round. He's 12-2. He's 4-2 in the UFC. He fought some good guys. He went in there with Paul Craig, Sam Alvey, Misha Serkinov, Michal Oleksiejczuk, Anthony Smith, and he's been fun to watch. None of his 6 fights have gone to decision. Only one match has gone outside of the first round. He isn't the best striker, but he's improved his hands a bit. He has decent 1-2s, 3-2s. His counter right hand is a little bit better than it used to be. He used that shot to put out Modestas Bukauskas. In the pocket, he's pretty dangerous. He has power, speed, and good timing on his counter right. Pressures constantly. Good job pushing the pace. He's athletic for a light heavyweight, and he has good movement, good hand speed. He's aggressive. He comes forward. He throws a lot of kicks, but he doesn't really have the fear of being taken down. Good low kicks. He'll feint the front kicks up the middle. Good round kicks to the body, to the head. Good job using a 1-2 to high kick combination or 1-2 low kick. He does stand fairly square. He doesn't use a lot of fakes or feints. He just tries to stay right in opponents' faces. Anthony Smith was able to walk him into jabs, work his leg kicks, really dominate him with his range striking. In this matchup, Jamahal Hill is going to be looking to do the exact same thing as Smith. Fighters have to use movement against Crute, not let him back them up near the cage. That's where Crute's hard to deal with because you have to respect his big punches, but you also have to respect the level change in the takedown. But if you put Crute on the back foot, he's not as effective. So pressuring Crute is a good game plan. Jimmy Crute is a strong grappler. He's a black belt. Very good when he can get top position. I do think that his wrestling and just overall just wrestling game is overrated. He's only gotten more than one takedown in 2 of his 6 UFC fights. He was out-wrestled by Paul Craig. Got taken down 3 times in that fight. He got taken down by Misha Cirkunov very quickly. And those are the only 2 grappling-based fighters he's fought in the UFC. He tends to come forward, throw kicks, and he can make himself easy to take down. Paul Craig got 3 takedowns on the Crute, was winning the fight until he got submitted in the 3rd round. And Misha Cirkunov was able to take down Crute within 20 seconds. Crute was able to get 8 takedowns against Michał Oleksiejczuk, but a lot of those are mat returns. Ended up getting the first round finish via Kimura. He did take down Anthony Smith 3 times after his leg was compromised, but to me, that was because Anthony Smith was just too over-aggressive knowing that Crute was hurt, and he gave the takedowns very easily. Anthony Smith is not known for having the best takedown defense either. He's just defended 48% of the takedowns against him in the UFC. Crute has a decent single and double, but he doesn't really set his takedowns up the best, nor does he have the greatest takedowns overall. He's very physical and strong, but I don't think he's going to be a guy that's just going to go and take down Jamahal Hill at will. Maybe he will, but if he does go to the ground and get on top, he's going to dominate from the top position, in my opinion. He has really good top pressure. He's aggressive. He likes to work for Kimuras and arm triangles, and he has 4 submission wins. He also is good off his back. I mean, he has good sweeps. And he was able to sweep Paul Krebs, sweep Misha Cirkunov, and he does show sometimes a lack of composure and fight IQ. He did that against Misha Cirkunov, and it got him submitted. And Jimmy Crute, he just needs to work on that a little bit in his career. But Paul Craig, was able to take down him and control him a little bit, but Crute got the sweeps, and on top he dominated Paul Craig. Eventually got the arm triangle and submitted him, and Paul Craig is the guy who just dominated Jamahal Hill on the ground. So there is a difference between Crute and Jamahal Hill. But the difference between Crute and Craig, though, is Jimmy Crute is not the guy that's going to be dangerous off his back like Paul Craig. So he's going to have to get the fight to the mat with his wrestling and be in top position. Crute has shown good cardio. He was able to get in a scramble fest fight with Paul Craig for a long time, and then get the finish in the 3rd round. And Jamahal Hill, he was embarrassed in his last match. He had a fiery build-up with Paul Craig, a lot of trash talk, but in the fight, Paul Craig was superior on the night, clearly. I mean, he made a mistake, Hill, going to the ground with Paul Craig. He had his arm broken, took some huge elbows, and really took some major damage in that fight. He's still super confident, and a win over Jimmy Crute would have him right back in the mix. His stock is low right now because I still believe he's a good fighter. He's a striker, southpaw. He's a sizable 5-inch reach advantage, likes to use a wide stance, and he could switch stances, and he has pretty good movement and footwork, really good hand speed, good jab, good straight left. When he puts his combinations together, he'll go downstairs, upstairs. He does a good job finding that right hook after the 1-2. The jab is going to be crucial to beat Jimmy Crute. Good job mixing the target, attacking the body with hooks, with crosses. He needs to do the same game plan he did against Darko Stosic. Use the movement, use the jab, use the right hook, the 1-2s, left cross, his intercepting knees up the middle. Try to, throw the round kicks to the body, maybe try to mix in some leg kicks. He's very active with his hands, though, Jamahal Hill, and I feel like he has some of the best hands in the 205-pound division. There's a ton of volume. He needs to keep that volume really high and keep that jab stick in Crute's face in this fight. Get him to raise his guard and then start killing the body. He needs to set his kicks and knees up well so he doesn't get taken down off those. On the feet, he's going to be far superior striker at range. He's going to have the reach advantage by 5 inches. He's going to have the speed advantage. And he's going to be piecing him apart, in my opinion. Jimmy Crute's right hand is dangerous. He has to be careful because he does hold his hands low. And I have seen him dropped and recovered before. But, Jimmy Crute, if he ties him off of a leg kick or off one of those knees up the middle or just off a sloppy jab and catches him with that perfect overhand, he could potentially separate him from consciousness. But Jamahal Hill has, never shown a bad chin and never been finished by strikes. He's not the greatest grappler. I mean, that definitely got exposed in his last fight. He does have really good knees on the inside. He'll attack the body really effectively and make guys not want to clinch with him. He finished Klidson Abreu with knees to the body. He hurt Alexander Popek bad the same way. His takedown defense is not terrible. He's long. He has good footwork. He has good movement. He uses his strikes to keep fighters out of range. He pressures wrestlers, which makes it harder for them to take him down. And when fighters do get on his legs, they've been able to take him down, but he's improved his balance, his takedown defense against the cage. I believe after his last fight, he's only going to have worked more on his takedown defense, his get-ups, his jiu-jitsu. Fight with Paul Craig had to be an eye-opener for the undefeated Jamahal Hill at the time. Jamahal Hill was taken down a few times by Darko Stosic, but that was after dominating the first 2 rounds, suffering a broken hand. He has great cardio for a light heavyweight, and that's something that both Crute and Hill possess. In terms of light heavyweight, I do consider these guys 2 of the best prospects in the division. They both have great cardio, durability, finishing ability. I think Jamahal Hill is way better on the feet. I think his fight IQ is a little bit better. Crute's much better on the ground, and he's going to be constantly trying to take it there. Jimmy Crute, to me, really has not proven that he's a great wrestler, though. He was only able to dominate Michal Oleksiejczuk with the wrestling. Michal's a small guy. He's not a grappler. Outside of that fight, he's really not had a lot of success with takedowns. Crute did take down Anthony Smith 3 times, but none of those takedowns were consequential. I do think if Crute gets a takedown in this fight, we could see him really dominate or even finish Hill. Hill was able to stand up quickly against Darko Stosic, though. He does a good job pushing the head, standing back up against the cage. He, doesn't really have that jiu-jitsu or grappling background, though, like Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute, to me, outside of Anthony Smith, I actually think Hill is the better boxer than Smith, and Crute hasn't really fought a guy that are great strikers. He hasn't really fought many long guys that, try to move, use long-range attacks, use speed, have good footwork. I feel like if the fight with Paul Craig didn't happen, Hill would be the favorite, and now that loss happened, he's a decent underdog. And I'm going to pick Hill. I think he's going to be an unpopular pick this week. A lot of people will be all over Crute after that embarrassing way that Hill lost. But I'm a Jamahal Hill believer. I feel he was a great prospect prior to the Craig fight. And I'm not going to get off of it because of that. It isn't as if Paul Craig just took him down and submitted him right away. Hill made the mistake of following Craig to the mat, and he paid for it. Hill, even though the loss was embarrassing, he showed a big heart. He allowed Craig to really crank on his arm, break his arm. It was super gnarly. And, Hill is going to have to deal with someone who pulls guard and subs him off their back in this fight. Jimmy Crute's going to have to be able to get the takedown and close that distance, hold Hill down or submit him. Hill isn't going to make that easy. I see him sticking the jab in Jimmy's face, working the 3-2s, the 1-2s, catching Crute as he comes in, working the body. And if he gets taken down, he just has to stay calm, work back up to his feet. I think that Crute is a little bit overrated. His striking isn't the best. I don't think he's the best wrestler. Hill will use his movement and beat him up with the striking. Crute's a young guy. He's never been finished by strikes. He's really tough, so he's probably going to be tough to finish, but I do think Hill's going to get him out of there in the second or third round. He, I guess Crute did get finished by strikes in his last fight, but I mean, that was more of a doctor stoppage type of situation, so I think Hill is actually going to take him out with strikes, and I'm going to go with Jamahal Hill. This next fight, this is a really interesting matchup here with Leonardo Santos taking on Clay Guida. Leonardo Santos has been fairly active. He had that really long layoff, and he hasn't fought a ton, but this is going to be the second fight of 2021 for him, the third fight since July of 2020. And he's a fighter who's underrated, but kind of let his prime slip away from him. For whatever reason, he was not fighting from 2016 to 2019, and that really cost him. He has a record of 7-1-1 in the UFC, and prior to his last fight, he was undefeated, and he'd beaten guys like Thiago Marreta Santos, he beat Kevin Lee, he beat Anthony Rocco Martin. But the issue is he's 41 years old. In his last fight, he had that unbeaten streak snapped. He got knocked unconscious. And he looked awesome in his return fight against Stevie Ray. He blasted him out of there in less than 3 minutes with a one-punch knockout. But his last 2 fights have not been very good performances. He has a tendency to gas. And now that he's older, that is only more pronounced. And Santos is facing another older fighter here in Clay Guida. This is a fun matchup. Santos is a big lightweight, and he's going to have a big advantage in terms of height and reach here. He's 6 foot to Guida's 5'7". He's going to have a 5.5 inch reach advantage. And he's good at using his reach on the feet. He has good distance control. He's a southpaw, good left kick. He has straight left hand is money. His straight left hand has won him a lot of fights. He does a good job pressuring, feigning with the left hand, ripping the body with the kick, sliding in and out of range to find that pull counter left hand. And fighters know that he has that left hand ready to counter, so they're a little bit hesitant to close the distance. You don't want to overextend or blitz in because you could end up on a poster like Stevie Ray. His leg kicks look good. He has good defense, and he's hard to hit because of his length. He's not as quick as he used to be, though, and his chin, I feel, is deteriorating. He got hurt with some sloppy punches against Grant Dawson. His lateral and in-and-out movement wasn't as fast as it used to be. Dawson had a lot more success getting into Santos, pressing him against the cage. Santos is not a high-volume guy, and in fights where fighters push the pace, he does tend to get tired, like I said. He's going to be looking to walk Clay Guida into one of the straight left hands or 1-2s and knock him out. He does have 3 knockouts in his career, and he's been finished by strikes twice. Santos is a jiu-jitsu world champion. He has solid wrestling skills, but I don't see him taking on Clay Guida. He does have a good blast double. He defensively has good takedown defense, especially against a cage, but he can't be held against a cage controlled there. In his last fight, he did a good job looking for the counter uppercut or knee when Dawson shot in, and he was able to reverse Santos and get a takedown in the first round, but he couldn't hold Dawson down, or reverse Dawson, and Santos has not really used his jiu-jitsu much in the UFC. He does have 2 submissions in the UFC. He has a good arm triangle. He has good rear naked chokes, but in this fight, he's going to be trying to stuff the takedown circle to the back of Clay Guida, or just keep it on the feet. Clay Guida has to be wary of the back takes. Santos off his back is really not much of a submission threat. When Grant Dawson got on top, it's solidified position in the 3rd round. He was able to dominate and finish Santos with the ground and pound. 41 years old, I think the cardio, the durability of Santos is only going down. And he's going to be taking on Clay Guida, who's one of the most experienced fighters in UFC history. He's older himself, 39, but he still looks pretty damn good. His last fight with Marco Madsen was a very close fight. Could have went either way. Guida lost via split decision. His fight before that was an awesome performance where he dominated Michael Johnson. Even his fight with Bobby Green was a good back-and-forth fight. And he's still improving. His boxing has gotten much better since going to Team Alpha Male. He's always pressuring forward, and he's gotten a lot better to slips and counters. He's good at feigning, walking fighters down, then slipping their shots, crashing in them with punches to get the takedown. Decent left hook. He was able to outstrike a good striker in Michael Johnson, and he has a good chin. He has fought more than 50 times. He's only been finished twice by strikes. He was finished against one of the hardest hitters in UFC history in Chad Mendes at 145. Then he got finished with a big knee against Ortega. He doesn't have big power, but he's improved his boxing, and he's hurt a few guys recently, including his last opponent. He has 7 knockouts, and he's one of the most accomplished wrestlers in the UFC. He has 77 takedowns, 2nd most in lightweight history. In this fight, I assume a lot of people are going to think Guida's not going to be looking for the takedown, but I think he's gonna. I think he's going to be looking for it all night. Clay Guida has been submitted a lot of times, but most of the times he was hurt prior to getting submitted, and Leonardo Santos is not the type of fighter that gets submissions off his back. He's been controlled, gotten tired, been taken down. His one draw against Norman Park, he gassed and was controlled on the mat en route to a draw. And, he also his most recent fight, he got finished late after being taken down. Even his fight with Roman Bogotov had a lot of time controlled against a cage and got a lot of time to rest in that fight due to the illegal shots. Clay Guida does a really good job using his boxing to pressure fighters, get him against a cage, and he has an endless gas tank. So if fighters stuff, he'll just reset, wait for his opportunity, and close the gap again, hit the takedown. Good chain wrestler, really good single leg, shoot the double, drive to the cage, and finish if he can from there. He does a good job of using the single to take the back, controlling mat returning guys. He's not great with his jiu-jitsu, and that's why he's been submitted so many times. He has a tendency to leave his neck out there on the shot. He's been guillotined a few times. But he's a grinder, and he wants to break fighters over 3 rounds. He's tough to beat in a decision. He's won 15 of his 23 decisions. Really good cardio, and he's definitely going to be trying to push the pace in this matchup. I'm really pretty shocked by how much confidence some people have in Leo Santos. I get that stylistically it may be a tough matchup for Clay, but Clay Guida also gets underestimated in my opinion. Grant Dawson's a fighter with poor striking, really only has grappling, and he was able to take out Santos. If Santos can't find that straight left knockout or hurt Clay and submit him early in the fight, Clay could start to get on the inside, land his overhands, put the grind on Santos. I get that Santos is elite BJJ, but honestly, if Clay is grinding him against a fence or on top, I don't really see much of a threat there from Santos. Clay just has to be careful not to walk into a punch or panic wrestle, shoot a bad shot, get sprawled out, get his back taken, get guillotined. But he has better boxing, better wrestling, better cardio. Both fighters are going to be trying to implement their strategy. I think either fighter can win. I'm not really sure about Santos' chin either, man. He's past 40, got knocked out cold in his last fight. And I'm going to go with Clay Guida. I think it should be like a pick-em line. Maybe Santos will knock him out or hurt him and submit him in the first round. But if he doesn't, I think Guida can hit the takedowns, land some big punches, and knock out Santos even. Santos' cardio is not going to be able to hold up in a high-paced fight with Guida. And, I mean, I don't know if Guida... I think that Guida, honestly, is a better fighter overall than Grant Dawson. So I'm going to have to pick him here in this matchup. And I think he is going to get the win via decision or even knockout. Man, this is a hell of a co-main event right here. Two of the best strikers in the lightweight division with Rafael Fiziev and Brad Riddell going at it. Two guys that are Tiger Muay Thai products as well, so they've sparred together. They've seen what they both got. And this should be a treat. I mean, Fiziev has won 4 fights in a row. He did lose his UFC debut via knockout. His last 2 victories against Renato Moicano and Bobby Green have been pretty high-level victories. And Fiziev, like you said, he's the head striking coach at Tiger Muay Thai. They've sparred each other. They know how good they are. And Fiziev is a great striker. He's super explosive. He's athletic. He'll switch stances. He moves a lot. He's more mobile than Riddell. He likes to use a ton of feints, pressure forward, work the leg and body kicks. He'll try to slip and rip with a big right hand. He'll throw some pretty okay punch combinations, counters. When he can back opponents up to the cage, he'll open up with his punching technique. And I think that he's a bit more wild with his punching technique, not quite as sharp as Riddell. In the pocket, both guys could slip and rip really effectively, but I think Riddell is a little bit better. Fiziev to be is, a little bit better with the kicks, and he's way more active with the kicks. I think he needs to be a little bit more tactical in this fight, use kicks on the outside, maybe mix in the wrestling. He's a freak, though, and he's going to want to bring the war. It's going to come down to which guy can take the punishment or just land more clean shots. Fiziev is a bit more dynamic, how he slips the high kicks, how he throws kicks, knees. He can be a little bit flashier. He's very brash. He can talk to guys. That can help him with the judges. So Brad Riddell has to kind of match that flashiness a little bit. Fiziev does have 6 knockouts, but he did get a little bit tired of that fight with Bobby Green. He started to load up in that 3rd round. Green was picking his shots, walking a bit of punches, and really beat him up in that 3rd round. So that's something that I think that Brad Riddell could do as well. Fiziev also doesn't really check low kicks. I think that's something that Brad Riddell could get off with here. And he obviously holds his hands really low. He has that incredible ability to slip and rip. But Magomed Mustafayev did catch him with that head kick with his hands low and knocked him out. And Rafael Fiziev is a good grappler. I don't really think he's going to look to wrestle much in this fight, even though I think he should. He's strong in the clinch. He has good knees. He does a good job exiting with elbows. And if he could time some, takedowns control on top, then maybe he could, get Brad Riddell a little bit hesitant to sit in the pocket and bang with him and start to get off on his movement and counters and just be a little bit better. But I'm not sure he's going to do that. I think he's going to be stubborn, keep it on the feet. I think it's going to be a great fight. Cardio-wise, I think Brad Riddell has the cardio. We've seen Fiziev get a little bit tired. Fiziev throws more significant strikes per minute, but he also, is more hittable as well. But so far, so good for Brad Riddell. I mean, he's 4-0, 4 decision victories. Most recently, he took out Drew Dober in a war. He was dropped. He almost got taken out of there, but he showed heart, durability, toughness. Brad Riddell, he's fought some good fighters in his own right. Drew Dober. He also defeated Magomed Mustafayev, who defeated Fiziev. A win for either fighter here leapfrogged them in the top 15 for sure. So this is a massive fight. Riddell is another elite striker. He's really good with his hands primarily. Loves the 3-2 or the 2-3. His lead hook is one of his best punches. He'll use his jab really effectively. He throws it hard and stiff. He'll throw the jab, left hook. He's really good at exploding in with the left hook. He closes distance with it really effectively. Exchanges in the pocket. Riddell is really tight with his hooks, with his straight shots, and I feel like he's a little bit more fluid and technical in that realm. He has a really good straight and overhand right. He's dangerous with it on the counter. He'll mix in some heavy leg kicks, which I feel like he's going to want to do in this fight, and they're going to be effective for him. He doesn't use a ton of movement. He's just really good with his sliding in and out of range, his distance control. He has really good feints. He attacks the body. He'll go with a left hook to the body to right uppercut combo. That's really nice. And he's really good at finding his punches in the pocket first, putting fighters out. He'll mix in elbows. He'll create angles by, sidestep angles and things like that in the clinch. He's super durable. He's never been finished by strikes as a pro in MMA or in kickboxing, I believe. And he's taken some big shots and been able to take them and, stay in there. If you could take clean punches from Drew Dober in the first round, you could take shots from anybody. And Brad Riddell, he's improved a lot as a grappler. He's never going to be a Division I wrestler or anything, but he's gotten better with his takedown defense, his distance control. He's pretty good, and he makes it hard to shoot in on him. He's also good at using feints to draw the takedown, then sprawling and taking top position. And when he can get on top, he's okay. He has okay ground and pound, but his control on the ground isn't the best. His takedown defense, we have seen him taken down in certain fights, but he's able to get back up to his feet, and he will make you work for the takedowns, get guys tired. And Brad Riddell will look to wrestle offensively. He likes the body, the single leg and the body locks. And I kind of feel like he's not going to really try to wrestle against Fiziev, and I don't think Fiziev is really going to try to wrestle too much against him. So I think they're just going to get an old-fashioned striking fight here, kickboxing fight. And Riddell has great cardio, toughness, composure. He loves to fight, and he has a lot of high-level experience. I'm going to go with Brad Riddell. I think that just in terms of sharpness in the hands, composure, he's better. Fiziev's going to get wild, try to bring it, but he absorbs more strike per minute than he lands. And against a precision puncher with power like Riddell, you can't get hit that much. Fiziev is not a wrestler. I doubt that he's going to be able to really take down and control Riddell effectively over 3 rounds. Riddell to me is a bit tougher, more durable. He's going to hang in that pocket, take the shots, and if they exchange, I think he's going to land the better punches. I think he has the better cardio, and I'm actually going to go with Brad Riddell to get his first UFC finish. I think he's going to knock out Rafael Fiziev in this fight. So give me Brad Riddell to win in this Striker's Delight here. And we got the main event here. This is an amazing fight. We got one of my favorite fighters in Jose Aldo. He's going to be coming back. He's taking on Rafael, who's another super beastly guy in the division. I mean, both these guys are pretty legit, man. I mean, these are top 5 guys. These are guys that I feel like this is a title eliminator fight. Even though Jose Aldo already fought Petr Yan for the belt, I think that if he wins 3 fights in a row, he beats Rafael in the main event, he's going to deserve the next title shot. And Rafael as well. He just came off a win over Marlon Moraes and Cody Garbrandt. He's won 5 fights, or he's going to be winning 5 fights in a row if he wins this fight. And this is going to be a second consecutive main event against a former champion. So if he can defeat 2 champions in a Marlon Moraes got close to the belt, but he didn't win it. And so if he can beat 2 champions in a row in main events, I think that is enough for him to get the title shot. Fon is no stranger to taking on Brazilians. I mean, he's 3-3 against Brazilians in the UFC. He was able to beat Marlon Moraes, Thomas Almeida. He lost to Douglas Silva Andrade, Assunção Pedro Munoz. He submitted Douglas Silva Andrade, but he lost to Assunção Pedro Munoz and Lineker. And he hasn't lost in over 3 years. He's getting the chance to take out the best featherweight fighter in MMA history. So he's definitely going to be pumped up, ready to go. And people have been trying to throw dirt on Jose Aldo's grave for over 5 years now, but continue to prove why he's a living legend. He got knocked out by Max Holloway twice. Obviously, the Conor fight before that was concerning. His career looked over, but he decided to reinvent himself at 135 pounds and got a title shot and performed admirably against Petr Yan. Then he bounced back and he defeated Marlon Chito Vera and Pedro Munoz, 2 young, hungry contenders. And those 2 wins have gotten Aldo another main event title eliminator fight against Rob Font. And Rob Font's a beast. He's one of my favorite fighters at 135. He's used to being way taller and longer than opponents, and it really gives him an advantage because he throws those beautiful jabs, the straight shots down the middle. He's able to walk fighters down, cut the cage off, snipe them from the outside. And when they're unable to, hit him from their range, he could get them frustrated, and he has power. So if a fighter gets desperate and, tries to close that distance, he could sit down on some shots and keep him honest or put him out. And the thing that he's had the advantage in here in this fight is that he showed great cardio and forward pressure over 5 rounds with Cody Garbrandt. He's really good at cutting off the cage. And if he can constantly push Aldo back, up the volume a bit, keep the jab, keep the 2 in his face all night, and really make Aldo work off the back foot, then we have seen Aldo get tired in the past, and maybe he could win a decision or catch a big shot. But I just think you need a little bit more than a jab, a 1-2, uppercut, and some cardio to beat Aldo. Aldo has more weapons. He's a better athlete. He does a better job mixing up the target. And the way that Font enters range, he stands tall, uses a high guard. Body shots are going to be there all day, in my opinion. We saw John Lineker get off with the body shots against Rob Font. And Aldo's going to need to rip the body and legs early. Leg kicks are going to be there as well. Font is heavy on his lead leg, very boxing-oriented. He, is really just a pure boxer in MMA. He does mix in some kicks. He has good grappling, but his wrestling is not the best. But Font doesn't check kicks. He's very heavy on his lead leg. He's not the type of fighter that is really going to, show a big... I don't think he's going to show much difference from what he shows in all his other fights. He comes in and does the same thing. And Jose Aldo is not the type of fighter that you're just going to be able to pressure and back up. I mean, he stands his ground. He stays right in the pocket, and he relies on his speed, his head movement, and his counters. He has a big advantage, in my opinion, in the just pure explosiveness and power in this fight. I mean, Font does have stinging, powerful shots, but I think Aldo is just a little bit more explosive, a better athlete. Aldo also has a big advantage of the wrestling and the grappling. I do think he can mix in some takedowns at the end of the rounds to seal the fight. May get tired and, Font could pick up the 4th or 5th, but I just think Aldo's going to catch Font and knock him out. We've seen Font durability-wise be a little bit questionable. He got dropped and submitted by Pedro Munoz. He was dropped by Rafael Fiziev. Kind of shied away from the power of John Lineker. I just think that Aldo is the better martial artist all the way around, and unless he completely gasses out or catches a perfect 1-2 or cross right on the chin, he's going to get the job done. He's going to work the body. He's going to work the legs. He's going to show he's the superior athlete, more powerful, faster, early. He's going to show that he has a great jab as well, and he's going to be right there. I think he has the more power shots, and I think when he starts to, add up on that damage on the lower extremities, Font's going to start to will. Aldo's going to start kind of really putting that pressure on and beating him up. In his last fight with Pedro Munoz, me included, I was looking at that fight. I was thinking maybe that third round could be a little bit dicey for Jose. Maybe he'll get tired because Pedro Munoz is a guy that's a blockhead. He comes forward. He's super durable, throws really nice kicks, and he never slows down. But Aldo was the one beating him up in the third round. Aldo was the one throwing combos in the third round, really lighting him up. And I think the combinations, body head, I think the leg kicks, and I just think maybe you'll even mix in some grappling and wrestling, how he did against Chito Vera, and win in the round in that way as well. I just think he has way more ways to win. And Rob Font, he's not that much younger than Aldo. He's 34 years old. He has had quite a few big time fights as well in the UFC. He's taken some damage, and he's not a guy that really pushes a crazy pace. He doesn't throw a lot of volume. I don't think he's gonna get Jose that tired. Honestly, I think that maybe the pressure and that could get to Jose towards the end of the fight if he can't get him out of there earlier on. But I don't think it's going to be enough to get him totally gassed that he's going to finish him. And, the guys that have finished Jose Aldo are some of the best fighters of all time, man. Max Holloway, Petr Yan, Conor McGregor. I don't really see Rob Font at that level, man. I think that Jose Aldo's going to come out here again. He's an underdog on the money line somehow, and I think he's going to show everyone that, he's Jose Aldo, man. He's going to beat him again, man. He's going to do it again. A lot of people are picking Chito Vera. A lot of people are picking Pedro Munoz. But, yeah, he's not ready to relinquish that throne, man. I think Aldo's going to be right there, and he's going to get the win. I think he's going to get the finish by knockout in this one. I think Rob Font's really good, but he's not going to be having a 6.5-inch reach advantage like he usually does against a lot of guys, like he did against Cody Garbrandt. They're going to have a pretty similar reach. He's going to have a 1.5-inch reach advantage, and Aldo's going to be right there. He's not going to get backed up. He's not going to get bullied. He's going to have more weapons, and he's just going to dog out Rob Font. So I got Jose Aldo, and I think he's going to win via knockout in this fight. So in terms of my most confident pick of the week, I'm going to go with Manel Kape. And as far as my play of the week, like I said a little bit earlier, it's going to be Jeremiah Wells as the underdog against Jake Matthews. So there you have it, guys. That's the full card breakdown for UFC Fight Night Vegas 44, UFC Fight Night Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something for the breakdown. If you did, will you please put a like down below, put it in the comments, tell me what you think about my predictions, who you got. Do you agree with a lot of the underdogs that I have? So I think this is like an underdog city card, man. I think a lot of underdogs are live. A lot of underdogs are going to get the win. And it's going to be interesting what happens on Saturday night. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.